All right, so we're going to go ahead and start our demo today on how to do scribble art and how to sketch your hands. So first things first, take the top of your sheet. It could be a sketchbook sheet of paper or the sheet of paper I already have cut for you. And I want you to take your ruler and line it up. Like so. So you have a nice long edge right at the top. Then you're just going to practice with scribble art. So the key with scribble art is start with a base, and then you can always go darker and you can always go lighter, but be mindful what I'm going to do right now, the same thing you want to do with scratch art. Remember when we did those value scales in the beginning and we had those, we kind of talked about how you want to circle to areas that you want to keep totally black. It's the same thing with scribble art. So I'm just going to give myself kind of a base right here. That's generally where I'm going to want to make sure I taper off and start to really be careful of how I'm scribbling so that this area stays totally white. Same with scratch art, where you want to keep it totally black. Same thing with scribble art, you want to keep it totally white sometimes. So with the scribble art, the way it works, you don't want to go like this, because then it's just going to be rows and rows and rows, and you're going to see it and it's not going to look good. So what you want to do is make almost like stars, like that. But you get kind of random and crazy after a while. So you want those sharp edges. These are really important to have. So I'm going to zoom in so you can kind of take a closer look at them as I work with them. You want to get kind of messy. So it's curls and sharp edges. It's easier to start excuse me, in the darker areas, just because it's a little more safe. You're not going to make any mistakes in there because it has to be so dark. The catch is be gentle with your pen, because no matter how much you put on there, if you press harder thinking that's going to make it more, it won't work like that. You just have to be gentle. You can use the India ink to paint when you have larger areas in your drawings. You can use the India ink to kind of paint in really big, huge shadows. But for in our case here, it's not big enough that you need to take out the India ink and paint a huge area with the black ink. It's easier to just use the pen. To make it totally black, don't go like this either, where you just kind of color it in, because it's going to look like you did that. So you want to just kind of carefully go in there and just kind of look for areas that need to be a little bit darker. Always, always, always being super gentle. I can't stress it enough how important it is to be gentle with the pens. You'll ruin them, thinking that if you press harder, more ink's going to come out, and it'll feel like it, but it's not the case. So again, always trying to kind of break it up with smooth edges and harsh edges with scribble art. As you begin to break it up, you want to be mindful that that's where your viewer is going to really take in your artistic process and want to take in your scribble art. So you want to be careful that that's where you're really taking your time. And here it really doesn't matter. I mean, you can really color it in and not have an artistic process or make it look super beautiful, but as you kind of move your way out, you want to have your scribbles have like a stylistic effect, if you know what I mean. You want them to look like you took your time, and even though it was sporadic, you had a plan all along to make it look like this. And again, the key is don't do that. That's a very bad idea. So break it up a little bit. Just have sharp edges as much as possible. You can always go back and make it darker. You can't go back and make it lighter. Scratch art takes a while. You'd think it would go very quickly, but it actually takes time to do what you need to when you're making the scribbles look well drawn. And they do take a lot of practice. And that's why we'll start with this kind of value bar. If your value bar doesn't come out right and there isn't like an even progression from light to dark, that's when you do another value bar, or a third or a fourth, until you get the hang of it. I'm approaching my pencil mark where I wanted to be very careful. And so that's when you want to spend even more time working your way so you want to get kind of making S's, kind of S shapes like this, and kind of sharpen them every once in a while. Everyone's scribble art's going to look a little bit different, and that's totally the fun of it. It's that creative process. You can have it kind of broken up. If you kind of hold your pen at an angle, you can get them even lighter, like I am. And then that leaves that area totally white. So from a distance, looking at it, I see that there's a huge gray area. So I'm going to need to push this a little darker, push this a little darker, and kind of fade it in. This seems pretty good to me, but this needs to be a little bit more aggressive. It still has a nice value, but there's too much gray. So I'm going to come in and work that. And especially along the edges here, I just want to take my time. If you want to go all the way up to the line and practice that edge, go for it. It's more challenging and it's probably better for you to do that. I'm just going quickly for the demo's sake. So we can see it's starting to kind of build a little bit more. Nice and messy. So you kind of look in here and look for areas like maybe right here. You can add a little bit more too. Okay, so that's pretty good. That's my goal for you with the Scribble Art value scale. Now, as with a lot of the demos, I made it look really simple. It's not that simple. It takes a little bit of practice. So be easy on yourself with this demo and practice. If you need to take your ruler and draw another line, go right underneath, go for it. Do whatever you need to feel comfortable with your piece. Okay, so that is the end of the value bar demo. After this, there will be a demo on how to draw your hand.